Hello and welcome to App Talks. I'm Andrew Gothelf with the AppExchange marketing team. App Talks is a series of conversations with Salesforce customers about how solutions on the AppExchange are helping to improve business outcomes. Today we're in Chicago, Illinois at the offices of Renovo Financial, where I'll be talking to Kevin Werner, CEO and founder of Renovo, as well as Josh Perrye, Finance Associate, and Remi Gangarossa, Executive Vice President of Operations, to learn how OwnBackup is providing data protection and peace of mind for Renovo. Kevin, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Can you give me a little bit of a sense of what it is that Renovo Financial does?
Sure. So Renovo Financial is a real estate finance company. We make loans to individual residential real estate investors. So that's small business owners that want to buy and fix and sell real estate. Anything from someone doing like one single family home at a time to maybe investors doing 20 homes a year, 30 homes a year, up to apartment owners that may buy distressed apartment buildings, renovate them, release them, and then ultimately sell those kinds of properties.
I understand that the company has grown a lot since its inception. Can you tell me about that?
Sure. We started in 2011, and we started with one loan. We knew what we wanted to create. We wanted to create a company that we ourselves would love to borrow from. My partner and I were real estate investors and rehabbers, and getting financing was really tough for us. We set out to create a customer service-driven lending business that we have been able to grow over the last 7 years.
In a couple of minutes, I'm going to talk to a couple of people on your team about using OwnBackup and Salesforce. In relation to some of that growth, how do you think those technologies have helped fuel it?
OwnBackup and Salesforce have been critical in being able to grow and scale the company as we have. So when we started, I'm a little old school. I would use notebooks and paper and files and things that worked well for me maybe really early on. But then as the team grew and as the company grew, we adopted those things. We have Salesforce and OwnBackup, and those have been able to completely transform the company, serve the client much better, much more consistent. And we've also been able to customize it in such a way that really works for us, in a way that it feels like it was built just for us.
Josh, Remi, thanks so much for joining us on App Talks, and thanks for having me at your offices here in Chicago. To start, if you could just introduce both yourselves and tell me a little bit about what you do at Renovo Financial.
So I'm Remi Gangarossa. I head the operations at Renovo Financial. So simply put, I do everything in my power to ensure our clients get a 10 out of 10 customer experience every single time.
My name is Josh Perrye, and I work on the financing side with some of the day-to-day activities, as well as doing some business intelligence work on our portfolio of loans.
So we're here to talk about OwnBackup. I understand before using OwnBackup, there was a little bit of an accident. Can you talk about that story that then led you down this path to eventually seeking out a restore solution?
Yeah, so about a year ago, Remi and I were on an opportunity on Salesforce, and we were trying to free up some fields because we hit our max. And we found 2 fields with the same name, and we wanted to delete one, so we went ahead and did that, and deleted and erased it, and we accidentally deleted the wrong field. And that really got us thinking instantly how vulnerable we were, whether it was accidental on our part or whether it was bad code, how vulnerable we were to data loss or corruption.
What was that feeling like when you realized what you had done?
It was like, Josh, what did we do? It was very scary. Even the minor field like the one that we deleted can have a detrimental impact to your business, especially with all the process builder, workflow, all those things. We both looked at each other and said that having another solution for backing up our data probably makes sense.
So were you actually backing up data at all at the time when this happened? What was your process for handling that?
We were using the manual backup in Salesforce, and we just realized that we needed a different, better strategy for backing up our data.
What's at stake for Renovo Financial if you were to lose data in Salesforce? What would that do to you guys?
The majority of our business runs on Salesforce, so it's critical that we do our best to ensure there are no hiccups, and if there are, we have a quick remedy. So it would be very detrimental to our day-to-day operations, especially the customer service piece, and ensuring we're always delivering for our customers in a timely manner. And one thing, if you really understood our business, it's really important that we do things efficiently and quickly. And so making sure that Salesforce is running optimally and is always has a solution if something happens is very important.
So when you realized you needed a backup and restore solution, what was the process like, and how did you ultimately decide that OwnBackup was right for you?
So about a week after that happened, we went on to the AppExchange to look at a few different backup providers that run through Salesforce. And a few things really led us to choose OwnBackup. First, their systems seemed the most robust. They had the most capabilities, and most importantly, it was super intuitive to use. So even if we needed to call up the customer service, and they were great, they knew their service so well, a lot of times we could just figure it out on our own because it was so easy to use. So we chose OwnBackup for a ton of reasons. They had the highest and most reviews on the AppExchange, and actually right before we started working with them, Salesforce Ventures invested in them. And that showed a lot of confidence that if Salesforce has confidence in them, I feel like we should as well.
From a feature perspective, was there anything about the OwnBackup solution that stood out to you?
So one of the coolest things that I liked was the compare feature, where you can basically pull up two different snapshots run in two different periods of time and put them right next to each other and really easily see which fields changed and when they changed. And that really makes it easy to backtrack to figure out what went wrong if anything ever happened. And it's also really nice that we can go weeks at a time without logging on because all of our data and metadata is backed up every night overnight between 3 and 4 a.m. And we'll get an alert if anything goes wrong, but that rarely happens. It runs so smoothly.
Remi, from your perspective, what's been so great about having OwnBackup? What's made it right for you?
Data protection and peace of mind. Those are the two biggest things, at least for me. Knowing that it's working for me in the background, protecting my data and my metadata, it's an amazing platform working with Salesforce, and I'm very, very happy that we found it.
Decided OwnBackup was the right solution for you. What was it like to actually get it installed and up and running?
We basically went on to their website with one of their representatives, logged in, gave them our credentials, and within 10 minutes we were fully up and running. It was pretty incredible.
10 minutes, that's fast.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So give me a sense of the ways in which Renovo Financial is actually using OwnBackup. How is it helping to protect your Salesforce data?
OwnBackup protects all of our critical data that really enabled us to grow so fast. One of the really cool features is Smart Alerts, which gives us a notification every time too many fields change on an opportunity or account. And that way that gives us a heads up that we should probably look into that because it was too high of a number of changes.
You used to run sort of Salesforce, I understand, kind of solo. I mean, what did OwnBackup allow you to do?
For the first 2 years, I was the only Salesforce admin. That's a lot of pressure to be the only person in there doing constant updates, not really being able to offload any of that work to anybody else. And one of the reasons was really the data integrity, protecting the metadata and the data. And when we implemented OwnBackup, I actually felt like I had a release valve. I could go on vacation and have one assign Salesforce admin rights to someone else and know that if there was some monstrous change, something like Smart Alerts is going to notify me so that I can go in and I can ask the question. So in some respects, it's sort of like an audit trail for me that I didn't really have before. And I'm so thankful that OwnBackup was able to give that to me.
And is there an example of something that has happened since installing OwnBackup that you've said, I mean, thank goodness we've got OwnBackup?
Yeah, we have customer surveys, like I talked about customer experience earlier, that we send out and that come back in. And it was actually a mistake that I had made where I was going to clean up some old data and I accidentally deleted all of the surveys sent. And so I completely forgot, because it's always working for me, that OwnBackup was a solution. Again, panicky, I went to Josh. He said, don't worry, don't forget we have OwnBackup. And I was able to actually just bring that back into production and fix my problem. So it's awesome.
Yeah, it's already paying dividends, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that Renovo Financial has grown pretty considerably. You talked about rapid growth. In what way has Salesforce, and then with OwnBackup as well, helped facilitate in some way that growth?
when I had first started with the company, everything that Renovo did was on paper. We had like these big brown files that would go up to here for one loan. And so a mission from my CEO was find a way to implement Salesforce into the business and completely remove all the paper. That was a pretty big task. And at that time, I wasn't the biggest tech guy, but I took the project on and I learned a lot going through it. And one of the things that I lost in moving from paper to Salesforce was the ability to know that even though it was archaic, I had like 5 copies of everything. So if something happened, I could always go into another file. Implementing OwnBackup actually gave that back to me after moving on to Salesforce. It's a really awesome implementation.
What is the partnership between Renovo Financial and OwnBackup meant to you? How has it evolved and where does it stand right now?
From the beginning, OwnBackup really understood the problems that we were facing and really tailored their solution to introduce features that would be relevant to us. And every quarter, we have a quarterly business review. They talk about new things that they're working on and different ways to help us. So it's a lot more than a typical vendor relationship. They seem to really understand our business and find ways to move our relationship forward.
That's great. I always love hearing those sorts of stories between customers and our partners, so it's really great to hear. What does the future look like between Renovo Financial and OwnBackup? What are you looking forward to?
I think one of the cool things about OwnBackup is the company's adaptable. They understand that technology is always changing. We've started with OwnBackup and we have all of these amazing features, and then it seems like every time I inquire just a little bit about it, there's something new I learned that OwnBackup can do. One example is the seating piece. I actually didn't know until before this interview that that was something they offered, and I literally just said, what are some other features? And all of these things cropped up. And the seating piece for the sandbox is gonna be huge for us. So we don't have that feature implemented yet, but I'm really, really excited about that. Any developer would know what I'm talking about. Another thing that I think is really cool about the seating piece, there are times where we'll have a very unique issue with an opportunity or an account that we would have to basically completely recreate in the sandbox, which most people aren't going to do. Something like sandbox seating, I can take very specific data that I want to move over into the sandbox and come up with a resolution much quicker than if I had to go in there and replicate the same information. So I'm really excited about that because it's going to cut down my time to develop and get accurate code significantly.
And the other really cool thing about sandbox seeding is you can build the perfect test set of data by using production data. You can narrow it down until you have the right size and the right information that you want. You basically just press a button and it moves all the information over into the sandbox. And if we want to protect sensitive data because our developer works off-site, before moving it over, we just press a button and it makes certain fields anonymous.
On App Talks, we like to wrap up by sharing a little peer-to-peer advice. So, having gone through this process of not having backup and restore to now having it, what advice would you share with our viewers who may be going through a similar challenge?
I think it's really important to think about what would happen if you walked into work one day and your data was different than how you left it the night before. And if it's imperative to run your business on Salesforce, you need to do something to protect your data. No one's going to do that for you. You need to be proactive and do that yourself.
So it's a common misconception that data that you delete is easily recoverable. It's not actually true. It's completely on you. And with a solution like OwnBackup, you can feel comfortable knowing that you can recover all of the data that you lose. It's very, very important, especially in a business like ours, that we have something that's that simple and that intuitive. And that's what OwnBackup gives to you.
Well, it's great advice. It's a great story. Thank you guys again for having me here in Chicago, and thanks for joining us on App Talks.
Thanks for having us.